Okay. Um, uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. The first edition of BSides Conference Kano, which is like one step to improve cybersecurity, especially in Africa and in the world in general. And today we have a very special guest, which I come across her content somehow, and it's something that is very, very close to me when it comes to the safety of children. And I've seen how she's passionate about that. And I just told her that I would like to have her because people need to hear what she can tell them about this, and probably we can sell more children and help the world in that regard. So I think she's going to use the slides to take us through some very important
Yes.
information. But before then, maybe I would like you to introduce yourself and then go ahead and start.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paula Popovici, and as you will see a bit later on in the slides, I'm a cybersecurity researcher and OSINT passionate. I am here to talk about case study that I have done, and I hope you find it very, very interesting and insightful. I would like to know if you can hear me. Somebody said they cannot hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know, maybe it's from her on end.
Uh,
I can hear you.
Okay. I will be sharing the slides with you if you allow me to share the screen.
Yeah, you can now.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So welcome. I represent the Blue Dwarf. Who am I? I am Paula Popovici, the founder of the Blue Dwarf and the host of its podcast, where we explore the intersection of open source intelligence and cybersecurity, particularly in the context of digital parenting and youth protection. Before we go any further with this presentation, I have a small disclaimer that I would like you to read. I'll give you about a minute and a half due to the time. Um, Anytime you want to read the disclaimer, just contact me and I will provide it to you. I hope you all read the disclaimer, so I will proceed. As I said, if you have any question, the disclaimer is there and I can provide it to you. I will start with a very simple question. How many of you like to travel, and how many of you know where you sleep when you travel? I assume that not as many as I would like to know. So to dive in, this talk focuses on how OSINT techniques can be used to surface patterns of risk that traditional scrutiny might miss, especially in cases where online history is fragmented or institutional transparency is inconsistent. What started as seemingly average hospitality listing evolved into something more. Reviews hinted at red flags. Digital records showed continuity despite rebranding. OSINT method revealed links to prior criminal networks, all accessible through open data. This investigation began with court documents, but those documents led back to a public forum originally presented as a support group. It was there that grooming began as predators exploited the space under the guise of care and community. None of this required hacking. It only required connecting the dots. This isn't just a story, it's a mirror. Our institutions, platforms, and policies are not keeping up with the modern digital risks. child protection cannot remain secondary. Cybersecurity must grow beyond infrastructure. It must include the people behind the screens, especially the most vulnerable. As we turn to the case, this investigation, as we turn to the case at the center of this investigation, the scale of its implication becomes clear. In 2024, a former US state senator pleaded guilty to traveling abroad with the intent of engaging in sexual exploitation of minors. According to the court records, he made multiple trips to Prague between 2011 and 2021, each with the deliberate aim of engaging in illicit activities involving minors. He was sentenced on 6th of March 2025 to 10 years in federal prison, followed by a period of supervision release. This indictment included 2 federal charges, one for international travel with the intent of engaging in sexual conduct with the minor, and the other for receiving child sexual abuse material. This prosecution brought measure of justice. However, one detail remains specifically relevant from an investigative perspective. The property listed in those fillings is still operating today at the same address, but under different name and brand. Another significant development occurred in 2023 when one of the US state senators' known associate appeared to vanish. He went from someone to no one. Open source intelligence suggests the individual may have undergone plastic surgery and assumed a new identity. A hypothesis supported by abrupt changes in travel activities, the use of aliases, and booking anomalies observed during the investigation. Despite these findings, to date, no official manhunt was initiated. This may reflect jurisdictional limitation or a reliance on traditional forensic evidence that excludes OSINT contribution. The situation reflects a broader issue. While open source intelligence can surface valuable insight, such findings are often underutilized unless sourced through a formal investigative channel. In this context, the case underscores a missed opportunity to act and highlights the ongoing tension between civic investigation and institutional responses. This case study investigates a hospitality business that appears legitimate, complete with an active website, booking platform, and positive reviews. However, OSINT methods revealed it previously operated under different names and was referenced in a court document involving now convicted offender. Using domain records, contact details, and archived content, I confirm continuity between the current venue and its troubling past. The site has since been rebranding, now appearing under multiple names across platforms, while the address and the physical features remain consistent. This digital inconsistency complicates public accountability. Earlier marketing language, when viewed alongside with legal finding, raises concern about prior audience targeting and positioning. Rebranding, while common, can obscure history, especially when tied to serious offenses. To be absolutely clear, this is not an accusation against the current owner or the management. No allegations are made about the present-day operation. Instead, this illustrates how OSINT can surface hidden continuity and why transparency matters when past exploitation is involved. Despite multiple rebranding, this business consistently operates from the same physical location. By cross-referencing historical and current booking listing, map data, and archive reviews, I confirmed that each identity functioned from same premises. Geo-coordinate, guest reviews, and recurring feature, such as external bathroom and service inconsistencies, provide digital footprinting. When layered with metadata and corporate registry data, they form a continuity map that challenges the idea of a new establishment. Over nearly 3 decades, the company changed name, structure, legally re-registered under different entities. Corporate filings revealed ongoing operation at the same address despite shifting names and branding. International ownership, specifically in Germany and Cuba, was also noted. While lawful, this structure combined with its inconsistent listing reduced visibility and discouraged scrutiny. This is where OSINT proved essential. Traditional oversight doesn't connect these dots. Open source tools like domain records, registry databases, archive content, and platform reviews help uncover patterns of continuity hidden in plain sight. One detail stood out. Tracing a registered owner's Cuban address led to a residential street filling with bicycles. The picture that you can see in the top corner. Ordinary at face value, but a reminder of how far trails can travel and how context turn data into meaning. This investigation found no violations, but it shows how lawful rebranding and restructuring can distance a business from reputational concern. OSINT doesn't just reveal what's hidden, it frames what's visible in a way that promotes accountability and informed awareness. This isn't just about one missing person. It's a lens into how predators operate in today's digital world. Quietly, persistent, and often beyond institutional reach. When civic investigation uncovers credible risk and system can't or won't respond, we must ask what we are missing. Predators no longer need physical access. They exploit anonymity, jump between apps, and target platforms that prioritize engagement over safety. Children, while tech-savvy, are often unaware of these risks, and the institution meant to protect them struggle to keep up. This talk isn't about blame, it's about awareness. Behind every screen, there is a potential danger, and early recognition is the key to prevention. I am speaking to adults, cyber professionals, parents, educators, but my goal is to protect children. Avoidance isn't neglect, it's often fear, but knowledge breaks that fear, and awareness is our first line of defense. Children now receive smartphones before they can even speak. These devices act as digital pacifiers. Yet, we rarely monitor what's behind the screen. In my study, parental awareness strategies and knowledge of teens' online chat activities and cybersecurity risk, I found that children as young as 5 own a device that's connected to internet. Many parents underestimate how easily kids bypass restriction. Digital fluency isn't the same as foresight. predators exploit that gap. And parents, believing in filters and rules and these things, they believe these things are enough, often missing the early signs. This is more than cybersecurity. This is about social vulnerability. The threat isn't just technical, it's emotional, relational, and deeply human. And so our responses must be layered, informed, and above all, collaborative. The academic paper began with simple questions. Do parents know what their children are doing online? Have they set boundaries? While many answered yes, most struggled to explain what those rules were. A major gap emerged in awareness of disguised tools like vault apps, which look harmless but hide private social media or private chats. Few have ever checked their child device, and even fewer knew what they looked for. There's a dangerous assumption that parental control software or app defaults are good enough. Many caregivers believe their children don't use certain apps or aren't capable of risky behavior. Statements that unintentionally create blind spots. But cultural discomfort around talking about grooming, sextortion, or dark web access only increase risk. Silence gives predator rooms to operate. Teens aren't reckless. They're digitally fluent, but often unaware of manipulation, metadata, and how easily private content can be saved for exploit. Many trust that disappearing messages truly disappear. Meanwhile, adults often overestimate their digital awareness, assuming, oh, my child isn't online, or they wouldn't know how to hide things. That's a false assumption. But this gap leads to missed warning signs. What do we do when parents believe these topics are taboo topics? That's a question that's still unanswered today. Avoiding uncomfortable conversation only deepens vulnerability. Silence doesn't protect, it isolates. To bridge the gap, we need digital education for both children and caregiver. And in 2025, this isn't a bonus, it's basic parenting. This investigation was conducted entirely on open source intelligence, or OSINT, techniques. So why is OSINT at the center of the conversation about child protection? Because it relies on what's already available to the public. This includes domain registration records, business billings, metadata from social media, archive websites, and everything is legal. Accessible data doesn't require hacking. Insider access or special permission. What makes OSINT so valuable? It's its ability to uncover patterns that others miss. It can expose hidden links, track rebranded identities, and connect scattered clues that might otherwise slip through the cracks of traditional investigative methods. But perhaps most importantly, OSINT enables ethical investigators. It empowers individuals, not only law enforcement, to participate in public safety efforts without violating privacy. It's about recognizing what's already visible, asking hard questions, and turning passive data into active insights. This approach matters because in many cases, the information is there. Someone just needs to look for it. This investigation began with a systematic collection of publicly available information like archive web content, booking platform listing, domain histories, and user review. Each of these sources offered a piece of puzzle. Just a side awareness, this slide is a very long slide. Coming back. My investigation started by cross-referencing hotel addresses with National Land and Trade Registry to confirm continuity, despite surface-level rebranding. WHOIS records and DNS lookups allowed me to trace domain ownership and identify connection between entities that might otherwise appear unrelated. Beyond that, I analyzed behavioral patterns by examining metadata embedded in images and booking profiles, such as geotags and timestamps, as well as shifts in tones and responsive style in guest reviews over time. These subtle but telling details painted a more complete picture of the operational history. What's important to emphasize is that none of this require access to private system or restricted databases. Every piece of information was legally obtained through open public channels. I didn't need to hack anything. This process illustrates the real strength of open source intelligence. OSINT isn't magic, and it doesn't rely on expensive tools or privileged access. It starts with curiosity and a structural, methodical approach. So, let's talk about tools. WHOIS records reveal domain ownership, registration history, and contact details, often linking multiple sites to a single operator. Business registries make it possible to track companies, fillings, ownership changes, trade licenses, and historical names, especially helpful when investigating entities that have been rebranded. Social metadata and archived content, from timestamp and geotags to snapshots of deleted websites, provide the historical content that many formal records omit. These aren't secret techniques. They're ethical, legal, and accessible. You don't need a warrant, just persistence, critical thinking, and willingness to ask, what am I not seeing? Because the truth is, the internet rarely forgets. You just need to know where and how to look for. Let's walk through the workflow that made this investigation possible, because the power of OSINT lies in doesn't lie just in the tools we use, but in how we use and structure the process. So step one, it was suspicious trigger. It all began with a reference in court fillings and a location that stood out. A former hotel, now operating under a new name, was mentioned in connection with a serious offenses. That raised a red flag. But the real question was, does this place still exist? And if so, what's changed? Step two, OSINT resource maps. From there, I began mapping available sources that include corporate registries, WHOIS records, archive version of the hotel website, social media metadata, booking platform listing, and guest reviews. The goal was to build a timeline, not just of ownership, but of how the business presents itself to the public over the time. Step 3, correlation revealed predator. The breakthrough came when these layers started overlapping. Reused contact details, recurring names incorporate feelings, archive domain data, and consistent patterns across booking platform and social media. What looked like a clean break in branding was in fact a continuation of the same operational footprint. Before we talk where the gaps are, let's acknowledge what's already in place. In UK, we have the Online Safety Act, which introduced new responsibilities for tech platforms to remove illegal content and protect children from harmful material. It works alongside keeping children safe in education, a framework that sets child protection standards for schools and educators. Ofcom. Don't we like Ofcom? Yeah, we do. The UK communication regulator now has enforcement powers under the Online Safety Act to hold platforms accountable. In the United States, there's the PROTECT Act, which enhances criminal penalties for child exploitation and allows for extraterritorial prosecution, meaning a US citizen can be prosecuted for these crimes even if they occur abroad. Children Online Privacy Protection Act regulates how companies collect data for minors under 13. And Children's Internet Protection Act ties federal funding for school and libraries to internet safety measures. On the global level, the United Nations Conventions on the Right of the Child affirms every child's right to protection from exploitation. The EU Digital Services Act requires online platforms to moderate harmful content and be transparent about the algorithms. And the Budapest Convention, the first international treaty on cybercrime, sets a legal framework for cooperation across borders. These are important tools, and they do exist to protect children. And yet, in many real-world cases, just like the one I shared with you today, we see that these protections fall short. That's what we'll explore next. Despite the laws we've just reviewed, we continue to see clear and troubling gaps, systemic failure that appear across 3 key areas. First, when platforms like Yahoo shut down forums tied to abuse, they often do so without any support. The content may disappear, but the impact does not. And in many cases, victims are left to cope with the trauma. And in 99% of the cases, the victim doesn't know what to do with that. These shutdowns often erase vulnerable evidence that could support investigation, identify patterns, or validate survivor experience. When the digital records vanish, so does the chance for justice. Second, open source intelligence is frequently gathered, verified, and even reported, but too often it's ignored. If OSINT doesn't come through formal channels or lack traditional forensic packaging, it's sidelined. This isn't because the intelligence lacks value, it's because many institutions still aren't trained to treat it as credible. That leaves a gap, not in information, but in action. Third, there is no standard alert system when abuser rebrand or when venues with problematic history change names. Someone can dissolve a company, acquire a new domain, change a branding, and continue operating without ever raising a red flag. The danger isn't always buried on the dark web. It can lie on the front page of a booking site, hidden in plain sight. These are not just technical failures. They are gaps in our policies, our system, and our institutional reflexes. And unless we address them, predators will continue to reinvent themselves and slip through the cracks. A while ago, I had a conversation with my mother, and she asked me why I want to spend my time investigating something as dark and devastating as child exploitation, when she imagined I work in a lab making chocolate and bringing people joy. She wanted to keep me in a bubble, safe, far from the harshest corner of the world. And I understand that. Every parent wants to protect their child. But I made a different choice. And I told her, I am here because I want to help. I want to bring justice to children who've endured what no one should ever face. She paused, and then she said something to me that I will never forget, and it will always stay with me. She said to me, justice in cases like that is rare. If you really want to help, make sure some children never have to lose their innocence in the first place. Do your job well. You may never know who you've helped. There won't be applause, but you'll have made a difference. And so, I stand here today not for recognition, but to ask you to act. As cybersecurity professionals, investigators, policymakers, educators, we are uniquely positioned to build safer systems, detect digital threats, shape protective policies. Every system we design, every line of code we write, every threat we flag, all matters. Because with every click, a child can move one step closer to safety or one step closer to losing their innocence. Let's make sure it's not the former. Let's make sure it's the former. The first one, not the last. The beauty of OSINT is this. You don't need a special clearance. You don't need to go out of the way or break the law to make a difference. You don't need to be in law enforcement or work for an agency. Everything I share with you today was discovered through legal, public, and openly accessible data. OSINT isn't just a research method, it's a civic protection tool. It's a bridge between awareness and action, between silence and advocacy. But let's be clear, tools don't solve problems, people do. It's how we use the tools and who we use them for. That's what matters most. So what can we do? We train. Not only cybersecurity professionals, but also parents, educators, and frontline workers. We report. not just to law enforcement, but to our networks to raise visibility of overlooked threats. And we advocate because real change won't happen without pressure, without voices calling for reform. In cybersecurity, it's easy to focus on enterprise risk, dashboard vulnerabilities, red teaming, and so on. But it's time we expand our threat models. Let's look beyond corporate networks. Let's make sure we raise awareness. If there's one truth I hope you take away from today's is this. Predators don't always hide in the shadow. They hide in plain sight. Behind friendly username inside Polish booking platform under 5-star reviews. But OSINT give us the lens to see through the facade. Ethically, legally, and effectively. This isn't about surveillance. It's about visibility, seeing what's already there but often missed. And once we see it, we cannot unsee it. As cybersecurity professionals, educators, policy advocates, and digital caregivers, we have a duty to act, to expand our scope, to share our tools, to protect those most vulnerable, not just from the technical exploit, but from the human harm. Because the greatest vulnerability doesn't lie in network, it lies in people. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. As I said from the beginning, this is a very, very important topic to me because we have the problem, but we are not talking about it enough. We are not doing anything. I believe with a session like this, people get to understand the importance of this topic, and I really, really enjoy this. Thank you very much for taking your time and sharing this with us. And I hope this will give other people the hope and also the motivation to start using this technique and save the children because every child deserves to be protected. Thank you very much. I wish to have you next year with another very important and very special session. Thank you very much for everyone that joined us today. Yeah, I think this is the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.